Hey, welcome to Fabulous Friday, Captive Audience. And well, we are going to dive right in. I've got a lot to cover. On Wednesday, I mentioned that I would talk about what's on the ballot. And also, we're going to cover a little bit of some news that you may not have heard about that's not necessarily readily in the news. And one of the things is a federal court. The Vermont Supreme Court today affirmed a lower court's decision that the state and the Wyndham Southeast Supervisory Union were immune from legal challenges brought by the parents of a student who received a COVID-19 vaccine against their wishes. And I want to post the link to this article. It's from PJ Media, Ben Barty, who wrote this. And it, to me, is just astonishing that this has happened. Now, I really hope, there we go. I really, really hope that this will get taken to the Supreme Court. And I got to tell you, I'm just feeling all supporting of Trump, okay? Make America Great Again hat and stand for freedom. You know, David and I and Kevin were some of the original, we were on the board for Stand for Freedom. And so today I thought, it's just, while I'm going to be talking a lot more about what's on our ballot, I thought I might as well just wear my hat today. I've certainly been thinking and praying for President Trump and, his just everything for him. But this is astonishing. This family had expressly, this child was 6 years old, and they warned the school that he was never to receive the experimental gene therapy marketed as a vaccine. And you cannot call it that because a vaccine actually stops. Of course, they changed the definition, but a vaccine stops you from getting whatever is they're shooting in you. Well, this does not, as we will know now. And so they had done a vaccine clinic, and the parents had actually talked to the school ahead of time, knowing about this clinic, and said, he's not having a shot. And they said, you're right. He will not. But then a name tag mix-up happened, or so they say. And so he had somebody else's name tag on. I don't know how that could happen, because the kid would go, that's not me. And he ended up got a shot. The parents sued. This is in Vermont. And so I am hoping that this will go to the Supreme Court, because what this says is that according to the ruling, the court said under federal law, the lawsuit could not proceed, citing the Public Readiness and Emergency Preparedness Act of 2005, better known as the PrEP Act. The court ruled the school was immune from prosecution. Indeed, the PrEP Act does provide liability immunity to certain individuals and entities against any claim of loss caused by, arising out of, relating to, or resulting from the manufacture, distribution, administration, or use of medical countermeasures, except for claims involving willful misconduct as defined in the PrEP Act. So in other words, during public health emergencies, the PrEP PrEP Act protects people whose job it is to implement measures um, from any legal consequences. And as science has now proved, as the medical has now proved, that even one jab can affect your health forever. Some are very lucky not having anything. And anyway, I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to play one on this program, but I've certainly done a lot of reading. And I hope this family and their lawyers take this to the Supreme Court. Of course, it has to go to an appellate court before it would go, because this is a state, the state of Vermont is saying, yep, they're the federal court a federal court has said this. So the Vermont Supreme Court today wanted to let you know, might not have heard about that one. There's some real good news. I know that the left is saying, oh, well, there's some polling out there that cackling Kamala is rising, surging. Well, it's not. And I think I'm thinking and I'm praying that the honeymoon phase is over, and I think the more that she and Waltz talk about what they want to do, that it will fade even faster, because they're just talking about straight up communism now. When she says, well, we'll just do price fixing because on goods because of the price gouging. Well, hello, there is no price gouging going on, and they are. So I just posted a story from PJ Media that top pollster finds that the Harris surge is over, and that's by Matt Margolis today. And I believe it, and especially they're not talking about any policy, which, don't be surprised at that. The Democrats don't talk policy, but the Republicans do. The Democrats will tell you what they're going to do, but not how they're going to do. And the Republicans will tell you how they're going to do and what other areas they're going to do. And that was super apparent to me when Obama ran. He just said, hope and change. I want to fundamentally change America, but he never said how he was going to do it, or what he was going to do. And so it shouldn't surprise anybody that they are not talking about that. And so I just wanted to tell you, I really believe, but we have to make it too big to rig. We have to get our family, friends, and neighbors all to vote and turn a ballot in. It will not happen by osmosis. It will not happen just by wishing it to be so. This is an action that has to happen. But I wanted to give us a little bit of good news. I have some more good news at the end of the program as well. And then another PJ Media, Kevin Downey Jr. wrote, adios, Kamala Mania. We barely knew ye. And it's going down. And that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. We want her partner that she's chosen to be her running mate. His state is a wreck. It's a wreck. You could think the George Floyd riots, and he just let it burn, and all of his, yes, Lori, she is parroting Trump. And she's even saying, I'll fix the border. Well, hello, you could fix the economy now. You could fix the border now. You could, being vice president. Now, she can't do that, but she could certainly pressure the president. the president, the imposter that we have that is called a president. I do not believe he is legitimately there. There, I've said it again. So I want to dig into the politics here in Oregon and onto what's on the ballot in November. And so there's 5 measures that are going to be on the ballot. And we cite here often that Taxpayer Association or Oregon Watchdog. Well, I received this. I don't know. I'm going to show it up. See if you receive this. We're going to talk about that a little bit. I got this yesterday in the mail, and this is the other side. They do great mailers. I don't always agree with them, and that's okay. We don't have to always agree, but they provide a lot of good information. So the statewide ballot measures is Measure 115. It authorizes impeachment of statewide elected officials by Oregon legislature with 2/3 vote by each house. Frankly, it's a heavy lift. But what is interesting on this, and now I'm going to Ballotpedia, and I will post a link to Measure 115 in Ballotpedia from Ballotpedia here. I will paste this link that talks about that. And what is interesting, this came from the legislature. Okay. And so that it came from the legislature. They want this. And actually, it is bipartisan. Everybody wants this. And it is left and right. The whole pile of and you can see here. So Senate Minority Leader Tim Knopp says it's necessary to have this. And what's interesting is Oregon, in all states except Oregon, the state legislature can impeach the governor and other state executives. In most states, the process is similar to that used for impeachments of presidents at the federal level. And I'm reading this from Ballotpedia, and they've done the research. I don't have to come up with this. And so if the lower chamber of a state legislature votes in favor of impeachment, then it goes to the upper chamber. And if the upper chamber functions as a court of impeachment and votes on whether to convict the governor or not. And we have no way of doing that at all. And so truthfully, this is a yes vote. I fully would support having a way in the state of Oregon to impeach a governor. I think we need it. It's not going to just be used. I've heard the argument already by somebody goes, oh, but the Democrats will be able to kick all the Republicans out, because it would be not just the governor. It would be the statewide elected. So the governor, secretary of state, the treasurer, Boley, and I think the governor, secretary of state, treasurer, Boley. And that's it. So, the Democrats, it still takes 2/3 of both houses. So are Republicans going to go join the Democrats to do all of that? No, I don't think that I think that's a fear mongering, quite frankly. We need to have a way to get rid of a governor and or a really bad elected official. So that has been elected statewide. So I'm a yes for that one. So that is Measure 115. A no vote. So a yes vote supports a constitutional amendment to allow the Oregon State Legislature to impeach and remove elected state executives. Also the Attorney General. So I did miss one. I thought I did. It is the governor, Secretary of State, Attorney General, Treasurer, and Commissioner of Labor and Industries, Boley. So that's what this one is. I'm a yes. Then the next one is Measure 116, which, and this also came out of the legislature, which really surprised me, but it did. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised. And this is to create an independent public service compensation commission to determine to establish the Independent Public Service Commission to determine certain public official salaries. And this, again, is a constitutional amendment. Okay. And this came out of the legislature. And so it would set this independent public service compensation commission would set the salaries for the governor, secretary of state, state treasurer, attorney general, Bureau of Labor and Industries commissioner, Supreme Court judges, and other judges governed by the Oregon Judicial Department, district attorneys, state senators, and state representatives. And so the amendment would authorize the state legislature to pass laws to establish the number of members and establish classes of individuals ineligible from being a member on the commission. The amendment would prohibit the following from serving on the commission: an officer or employee of the state, an individual required to register with any state agency as a lobbyist, and an immediate family member of an individual described in the first two bullet points. Now, while we just had here in Umatilla County, our executive committee, we had, so this one I don't agree with. I'm a no, and I'll tell you why. It's because our legislators want more money. They say, you know what, we need more money. And I asked somebody who's running for office right now to be elected as a senator when we were at our meeting, and he says, and he's running, and I'm not trying to throw him under the bus, so I'm just not going to even say who it was, but he's running for the position and says, if I get elected, I only get 2 round trips from where I live to Salem. And I'm thinking, but you're running for the job. You know what you're getting into. And we are to have citizen legislatures. And in the state of Oregon, you should have a job, a career, and then be a part-time legislature. You don't have to be in Salem all the time, year-round, like at the federal level. And an argument that I heard was, well, in other states, they're making more money. Well, who cares? This is Oregon. We have a population of about 4 million people, and it is so poorly mismanaged. Legislatures need more money? No. So I think I'm a no vote on this. That's me personally, because I feel that a separate commission, by setting so our legislators, the Senate and the House representatives, has not gotten a raise. I don't know about the governor and that, but I just don't feel that we should do that. And I could see them stacking the deck. Do we want another unelected bureaucratic agency in the state of Oregon? Because that is what that would be. Setting the wage for those that are elected statewide. So that's my opinion. You can have your opinion, and that's okay. Now, the supporters of this is Chief Justice Megan Flynn, the Oregon Nurses Association, the Latino Network, the Oregon District Attorneys Association, the Oregon League of Conservation Voters, not conservative voters, the Oregon League of Conservation voters, opposition, Ballotpedia has not located a campaign in opposition to this ballot measure. Well, I just gave you one. But that's okay. That's just me. It's just another, let's see. Actually, the Oregon Public Officials Compensation Commission was created in 1983 via legislation. After becoming inactive, it was reestablished in 2007. The commission had 11 members appointed by elected officials tasked with making salary recommendations for the governor, Secretary of State, all those same positions, okay? In 2008, the state legislature passed a law to have the commissioners appointed in the following manner. 2 appointed by the governor. So we already have this. We already have it. But they want to make it a bit different. And I wonder why. Governor, and then on here it says gubernatorial salaries by state. Oregon is $98,600. And yes, I've heard, Tina Kotek go, I took a pay cut. Well, hello, you ran for the job. You ran for the job, and she tried to give her wife a job so she could, bring in more money. Well, you ran for the job. And anyway, that's just where I'm at. Until I hear otherwise, a good argument in favor of this, of passing it, I say no. So then we have Measure 117, and that was also produced by the legislature. I found it interesting that the first 3 measures, 15, 16, and 17, all came out of the legislature. And Measure 117 is ranked choice voting. And this would be for federal and state election measures. Federal and state elections, I should say. And I'll tell you, it would change Oregon's electoral system. I'm a no vote. I'm a hard no on this. And so there are other states. There's 2 states, only 2 have adopted this, Maine and Alaska. And Nevada voters approved it, but it has to be approved again in 2024 to take effect. But it is in effect in Maine and Alaska. You can just say, George Soros, this is something that has been pushed and lobbied by the Democrats. And, it's called Equal Vote Coalition. BS. It is not. Actually, I'm sorry, Equal Vote Coalition and Oregon Association of County Clerks registered in opposition to the measure during the legislative process. I stand corrected at what I was going to say. And the House Speaker, Dan Rayfield, said, ranked choice voting will give voters more choice, encourage voter engagement, and strengthen our democracy. Well, that's a load of crap. I'm just going to say it. It is. One vote, one voice, majority wins. That's it. Our system works that way. And so Sarah Palin said it is voter exhaustion. They are repealing it in Alaska. And so it's not a good thing. It also, so what it says is the ballot measure would establish ranked choice voting for elections to federal and state offices. And I'm not going to read them all. You understand that. A ranked choice voting system is an electoral system in which voters rank candidates by preference on their ballot. If a candidate wins a majority of first preference votes, he or she's the winner. Not going to happen. If you have 15 candidates, look, there was 19 originally, right, on the presidential ballot. If no candidate wins a majority of first preference votes, the candidate with the fewest votes is eliminated. And then for those votes that were cast for that failed candidate are counted to the next preference choice indicated on the ballot. So they divvy them up. It says here the first preference votes cast for the failed candidate are eliminated, and counting the next preference choice indicated on those ballots. A new tally is conducted to determine whether any candidate has won a majority of the adjusted votes. So nobody voted for you, but you're going to get somebody else's votes distributed to you, and they're going to, put it in the computer and say, bingo, did anybody get the majority? That's not one voice, one vote, and majority wins. The process is repeated until a candidate wins an outright majority, but yet it's by redistributing the votes of the people that never got it. It says for elections that use ranked choice voting to elect multiple candidates to a single office, the law would require the Secretary of State to adopt a rule, a proportional methodology. So, see, they haven't written all that yet, but, well, maybe they have, because if you look up right now, Oregon election laws, everything has been written for ranked choice voting, but it has not been implemented. They've already written the rules. You can just look it up on the Secretary of State's website. I know because I did. And I was looking in the election rules for something else, and I went, what are all these ranked choice voting rules doing in here? But it says with a note that it is not enacted yet. So it was quite surprising to me. So I just wanted to talk to you about this stuff because we have to do early voter education on what this is. And then also, if let's say, God forbid, this passes, then we are used to voting for one person, and you just go, screw it, I'm not going to rank the candidates. I'm only going to vote for one. Your ballot would be invalid if you only vote for one, and if you do not vote for and rank all of the candidates. Also, the law would also authorize cities, counties, school districts, and other local governments and local district to use ranked choice voting for local elections unless home rule charters preempt it. Well, guess what? In the state of Oregon, of our 36 counties, I believe there are only 6 counties that have home rule charters. Umatilla County is one. So that means their wording in this is baloney when they say that it would only affect state and local, or federal and state elections, because reading down through this further, no, it would go all the way. And Portland, in November, Portland is going to be voting for the first time ranked choice voting. And they've got a whole pile of several city council members to elect. Yeah, it's just not good. And then if this does pass, God forbid, then we're not going to have local tabulations in our counties. It's all going to go to the state so they can figure it out. The state would report the winner of the final tabulation round and then, so that's the way it is. Oregon would be required to elect electors for the candidate who won the national popular vote in accordance with the compact. And if it passes, it would take effect in January of 2028. We don't want this. We don't want this at all. So who supports this? All the Democrats. Also, the SEIU union, the Teachers Union, American Federation of Teachers, the ACLU of Oregon, Fair Vote Action, League of Women Voters, that's a Democrat organization, Next Up Action Fund, and the Veterans for Political Innovation. You know, that sounds like a veterans movement, but it isn't. There's a lot of arguments for, and in opposition, we have E. Werner Reschke, who's on here often with Kevin, and State Representative Bobby Levy, the Equal Vote Coalition, the Oregon Association of County Clerks. I'm so glad that they're opposed to this. And that is who is against this. And it will just be, this will just be really bad. It will just be really bad. And so I'm talking about this now. November, we're less than 100 days, we're 80 some odd days away, but it comes fast. And so we have to talk to our family, friends, and neighbors about, we don't want this, So this is why we have a sign that is, I'm showing you now. It's going to be popping up here any minute, for ranked choice voting. We don't want it, and anybody can utilize this. This is a good thing to have. Yeah, there's my sign. We don't want ranked choice voting at all. So we want to vote no, okay? Sometimes, yeah, it's rank. That's why. That's exactly it. That's a proper term. That's a proper term, right? It's rank. We don't want it. Vote no. So far, yes, only one is a yes. I agree there, and that's measure 115. So now moving on, and I'm going to do to measure 118 is the corporate tax. Wait a minute, I think I had something else here on ranked choice voting. Let me see. I'm looking real quick here. No. So, oh yeah, I wanted to cover this one while I'm still on that. Is funding for, I just mentioned that Portland is going to be having their first time in November ranked choice voting, And so now funding has been awarded to 11 Portland groups for ranked choice voting education. But it's for Portland, and it's $210,000 has been awarded to 11 different organizations to support education efforts about ranked choice voting, because they've got to elect city council, and they've never utilized this before. And it's not the way people are used to voting. And good old Portland, they voted, yeah, let's do that. Well, I'll bet you will hear a lot of grumbling about it, and in the meantime. So I just wanted to touch base on that one. And the next one is Measure 118. And Measure 118 is the corporate tax. And it is a 3% corporate tax, but it then gives a rebate to residents. Now, I'll tell you, when I first read about this, I had read, and it will distribute revenue to residents who spend more than 200 days in the state. 200 days. And it would be a 3% tax on corporate sales exceeding 25 million, and removing the minimum tax cap. So this is, and when I first was looking at this, I had read that it was something like, okay, so even here in Taxpayer Association of Oregon, it says it's projected a $750 rebate voucher. But right now, I'm reading where, oh yeah, it's going to be $1,600 a person. I'm going, how do you get that? There's some fine print in this bill. And some of the fine print is that, let's see, let me see if I can find it. It's something to the effect of, it's certain fees. I'll find it. I'll find it in here. So here is Representative Reschke says, why Measure 118 is so bad. Let me put this in our links. And in fact, I didn't put the other ones in there, and I should have. Let me do that, because it's ranked choice voting. I gotta stop this one here. This one is like spinning out of control. Okay. So let me put ranked choice voting in the comments. I want to make sure that you have these links to a Ballotpedia. Because it's easy. Yeah, ranked choice smells foul. That's good, Lori. I like that. I like that. Yeah, that's no kidding. Oh, this is good. I love our audience. I love you guys. I love you guys. So we've got Measure 117. We've done that one. So Measure 118, Representative Reschke said that it would be one, let's see. He says, put it simply, Measure 118 is a tax. Yes, it is. Anytime you tax a corporate, everything that they're buying, every businesses, it's going to cost us more. And in a state that has no sales tax, boy, we have a lot of tax, but they call it a fee. And a lot of things, a fee. Now if you go buy a new car, you've got to pay a fee. And it's a tax essentially. But let's get back to Measure 118. Basically, it's a bait and switch. And there just is no free lunch. And so if you Measure 118 is like going to your favorite cafe to buy a cup of coffee for $5 and pass ballot Measure 118, and you could get money back from the government. But now the coffee price will increase and it could be $8 or higher. But it won't just be the coffee price. Everything will go up. And it's going to tax all the businesses on their gross revenue, not their profits. And you can thank the gross receipts tax that got passed. And I believe there was only one Republican that got it out, let it get out of committee. Do some homework. That person needs to be removed from office via the ballot box. The gas stations, utilities, grocery store, everything, DoorDash, Amazon, your delivery services, your bank, your cell phone, everything. It's gross receipts taxes. And gross receipts taxes discourage businesses from coming to Oregon, but we already have that. And it's currently at 1%, and we already have it. Now this is 3%. But remember, this came out of the legislature. No, it didn't. I'm wrong. No, it was the first three. 15, 16, and 17 came out of the legislature. But this one came out of a ballot measure. And in fact, it came... so let me see. Here's where I'm going to be able to find that. Here we go. The measure would direct Department of Revenue to equally distribute increased revenue minus certain costs. What are those certain costs? To all individuals residing more than 200 days annually in Oregon. Revenue distribution does not affect individual eligibility for state benefits. Measure requires replacement of reduced federal benefit if distribution negatively affects the individual's benefits. And so it's like not a good deal at all. So who supports this? The political parties is the Pacific Green Party. There's nothing green about the Pacific Green Party. Read communism. Oregon Working Families Parties, you could read that about same thing. And Oregon Progressive Party. That's all socialist and communist. This is get basic, earned basic income is what they want to do. The Teamsters Union, the Progressive Democrats of America, what the hell do they want with Oregon, right? And the Pacific Green Party. I mean, this is, anyway. So that is who is in support of it. And thank goodness the governor is in opposition. In fact, of the Democrats, the Senate Majority Leader, Democrat, the State Senate President, Democrat, the State House Majority Leader, Ben Bowman, doesn't have a D behind his name, so I don't know. And the State House Speaker is a Democrat. They're all in opposition to this. So is the Coke companies, Oregon Business and Industry, Portland Metro Chamber, Western States Petroleum Association. So there's a lot that are against this. People will want the ignorant people, the uneducated people, the low and people that'll go, oh yeah, I want the free stuff, not realizing that it's going to raise the cost of everything. Everything. So they filed this original petition in September of 2022. They had to get 117,000 signatures and change, 117,173, and they did it. They did it. They turned in 167,547, and they submitted 165,426 on July 3rd, and it they did it. And I'm sure they did it with outside money funding to get paid signatures. And there are people that are going, oh, this would poverty. Here's a statement. Poverty would go way down. The Oregon rebate is estimated to reduce child poverty by about 26%. That's a load. That's a load. If you get, it's just a hogwash. We don't want that. So that's a hard no on 118. Okay. Yeah. All Democrats. That's it. So we just don't want that. There's no free lunch, and don't let them make you think there is. And then Measure 119. Let's see. Did I post a link to Measure 118 in there? I think I did. 117. I'm looking. No, let me do it. Let me do 118 before I move on. And, okay. And then I'll do 119 here. And this one, I'm a no on that because I will tell you, I don't think it's the unions trying to get in the cannabis business, trying to force and that's my opinion. In fact, all of this tonight is, of course, always my opinion, right? I'm your host, so it's all my opinion. And it's Unionization of Cannabis Workers Initiative. And it would, a yes vote supports requiring cannabis businesses to submit a signed labor peace agreement with the union. Okay. And a no vote requires the businesses to submit that the business will remain neutral when labor organizations communicate with employees about collective bargaining rights. And I'll tell you, I just don't see the need for this. So I'm a no vote. I'm not against unions, but I'm a no vote. So current law, this is a ballot summary. It says current law generally guarantees employees' rights to organize and collectively bargain. This measure requires agreement between cannabis retailers, but you know what? They don't have to have a rule that says that you have to. That part, it just doesn't make sense to me at all. The support of this, I'm not finding any support on this. Let me see. So yes, the local 555 UFCW union donated almost $2.5 million for this to get on the ballot. And it was Initiative Petition 35. I never saw it over here. And so they $2.5 million, 2.4 million and change. And there was no money spent in opposition to it, but that's what was spent in favor of it. And it's forcing a union deal. And I think, if you want to be in the union, you go be in the union. You don't need to force a business. You don't need to force a business to go, you must now make an agreement here. I'm not for that. I believe in free enterprise, and I believe it is the right of the business to be able to say yay or nay. But you know what? If the employees want to join the union, you can do it. Look what Starbucks. Some of the employees in some of the stores says we want to unionize. Well, they did. Did it shut them all down? No, wasn't the end of the world. But they didn't have to vote on it. So that's just my take, right or wrong. So, yeah, I'm a yes vote on 115, and I'm a no vote on the rest. But that's my opinion. So what else I have is I wanted to show you. So then we had this one here is the no new tax. And I don't know. No, that didn't do it. But there's my sign for the no new tax and the stop the 3% tax and the rebate. We don't want any more new taxes because that would absolutely be it. We did a voter recommendation form in Umatilla County that we handed out. I printed it on bright yellow paper and orange paper, so that we could tell them to, and gave them our voter recommendation. We covered for Umatilla County, of course, Donald J. Trump. Yeah. We got to make America great again. Cliff Bentz for CD2, Will Lathrop for Attorney General, and Dennis Linthicum for Secretary of State. Brian Boquist for Treasurer, and Senate District 29, Todd Nash. And in fact, I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to pull that up, and I don't know if you can see it, but there is our recommendation. I think you can, but I'm not sure. And Dan Doran is Umatilla County Commissioner there. And then we put our statewide ballot measures and asked everybody to check their voter registration. And we need everybody to vote, and let's save Oregon. And put your ballot in a drop box. Put your ballot in a drop box. Don't mail it. I don't rely on the U.S. mail. If you're not going to mail cash in the mail, don't mail your ballot in the mail either. We have to protect our ballots and make sure they get into the correct place. Vote as soon as you get it. Vote early so people like myself don't have to call you up and say, hey, have you voted yet? And you're waiting for the last day, because we do spend a lot of resources, people's time to chase down those ballots. I want to say that Lars Larson also, he did a, let me see. I hadn't, no. Lars Larson did it. He says, big tax crack ups, because Kamala Harris cast the deciding vote to make all these huge taxes and hiring 87,000 new agents, Anyway, that was one. But we've got to take care of that, take care of our ballots. So I had a little bit more I wanted to cover. Gosh, I had no idea. I've been on for so long. After a 43% rate hike, PGE wants 10% more. And if y'all think green energy is going to be the savior, it isn't. It's not going to be, and it's so, so costly. And why does PGE need another 10%? That I cannot answer you. But just on the heels of one rate hike, they are asking for another. Portland General Electric, their previous one they got was 7.4% increase, and that now comes out to 10.9, and they would like to get another. So since 2021, they are raising the rates by 43%. But let me tell you who some big consumers are. Data centers, we have those here in Umatilla County and Morrow County, data centers. And they are huge consumers of electricity. Also, digital coin operators, miners, they are huge consumers. And often they are using residential rates and or some commercial rates, and it's small. I know a place, there was a data mining person in there recently, and the business actually paid the utilities. I don't think they knew what they were getting into, and it was huge. And am I against those things? No, but let's just be realistic. That the big companies, yes, they're providing jobs, but they're making bank in profits. But it is you and me, the small people, that are paying the most in electric rates. And so, and green energy is not cheap. They'll tell you it is. It's so highly subsidized, and then, well, anyway, we're kind of screwed in Oregon because of the hydro is not considered to be renewable energy, but yet the data centers are buying hydropower to power them. They're not. That's not for our use. We're stuck with intermittent power. Trust me. Yeah, it is a big green fraud. So if David was here, let me tell you, he'd be going off on that. And I'm thinking about David because tomorrow is his service. Monique Despain, I want to share a commercial with you. If you bear with me, okay. Let's see, I'm going to share this screen, and I'm going to play this commercial for you. We've got to help Monique Despain get elected. No, this one here. Okay, here we go. So that's what we've got to do, is help Monique get elected 100% for CD4. We've got to help her get elected. Hey, I had a couple of good news stories. A couple of good news stories. Oh, you never got the shared screen. Oh, interesting. Well, oh, sorry about that. Well, let me post a link to it. Well, I don't know. My computer seems to be, I hope I'm not freezing a lot, because my computer seems to be having some issues today. And some of the things didn't work like they did the last time when I was on. Like when I shared my little campaign signs here, they had showed next to us, but this time, oh, it just stayed on me. Okay, well, thank you. I posted a link to it there, an article, and it has that commercial in there. And so she just rolls out a fact-filled new ad, and I'm just we've got to get her in, you know. She served 30 years in the Air Force, and she's just a terrific woman, and she will be great and be in Congress. We need her. We need her. Another one in Congress, you know. We just we just have to. Hey, I have a good news story out of Idaho. The Idaho School District requires, because it was all voted in, parental consent for basic first aid on students. So you go from the extreme of, in was that Vermont? They said, "Oh, sorry, we gave your kid a shot on accident." To Idaho says, you know what? They passed a law that nobody can. They passed a law that they have to have parental consent to treat your child. So the parents have to go, yep, you can put a Band-Aid on my kid. You can, give him an aspirin and whatnot. And that's how it needs to be. So I really like that one. But this one is a bad news. I don't know if you've heard about this, and this is from OAN. I'm going to post a link to this one. Hold on a second. I got to get the whole thing. And it is about hackers got into, yeah, good for Idaho. I'll tell you what, we need stuff like this here in Oregon. A hacker group leaked 2.7 billion records, including American Social Security records. So I don't know if you heard about this. And the hacking group known as USDOD claimed to have stolen the massive amount of data in April from the National Public Data, don't you know? Which holds personal information for employers, private investigators, and other agencies for the purpose of background checks. So the National Public Data place apparently didn't have enough. They had some backdoor or something. And the hacker group offered to sell the data, for only $3.5 million. And when I first read this story, I knew about this story a few days ago. I go, that's not very much money. You got data on 2.7 billion people for only $3.5 million. That's not very much money. So I didn't think it was real, but apparently it is. So everybody should be looking around and, check your stuff. Maybe somebody's stolen your identity. It's not a good deal. It's not a good deal. And my last bit of good news is the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court today, they refused the Department of Justice request to partially reinstate new Title IX rules. So all of the hard work that Texas has been doing has been upheld. And the Supreme Court, it was in a 5-4 decision, denied the Biden administration's emergency request to partially reinstate its new Title IX rule. Now, it doesn't mean that's over. This was an emergency request. And so with that, it means the Supreme Court is still going to be hearing it. And this was just a real quick deal, right? And so the decision is not final. And the case will now return actually to the lower court of appeals, and it could eventually return to the Supreme Court. So for now, that's very good news. I wish everybody have a super fabulous weekend. And, we get some wins. We take some wins, take some losses, but we have to keep fighting. Fight, fight, fight. We can't quit. We can't give up. And educate voters. Educate voters on what's coming up on the ballot. Everybody, have a super weekend. Good night. Spread the message. We'll see you. I'll be back on Wednesday, and Kevin will be back.